Hey everyone. Before we dive into today's story, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and drop a comment letting me know where you're watching from and what time it is there. It really helps YouTube recommend more stories like this one to you. Alright, let's jump right in. The first time the mirror didn't match my reflection, I thought I was just tired. It was 2:03 a.m. I remember the time exactly because I was brushing my teeth getting ready to crash after a double shift. My eyes were glassy from lack of sleep, jaw aching from clenching through work. I leaned over the sink to spit, and as I lifted my head, something twitched. Not in my body, but in the reflection. It was a subtle delay. My mirrored self blinked just a second too late. I froze, toothpaste foam still clinging to my lips. My heart gave this weird thump, not panic yet, but confusion. I stood there, squinting at the glass like maybe it was foggy or dirty or tilted at a weird angle. But it wasn't. The mirror was clean, crystal clear. I chalked it up to exhaustion and forced myself to laugh it off. I even waved at myself, just to prove how dumb I was being. The reflection waved back, perfectly in sync. Still, I left the bathroom with a weird chill crawling up my neck. I live in a 2-bedroom apartment in East Hollywood. Nothing fancy, just me and my roommate Danny, who's mostly chill but always kind of in her own world. She works nights at a bar and sleeps through the day like a vampire. We cross paths in that awkward 2 a.m. window. I'm coming home, she's going out. That week she'd been weirdly absent. Door always shut, no music blasting, no makeup scattered across the bathroom sink like usual. I figured she was just going through something. But I started noticing other things, tiny things. The sound of the bathroom, light switch flicking on in the middle of the night, when I knew Danny wasn't home. The hallway floorboards creaking in the same rhythm every single time, as if someone was pacing. The mirror again, twice more, and catching that same offbeat delay when I moved too fast. I started brushing my teeth looking down. 3 nights later, I woke up to the sound of someone crying, muffled behind a wall. I sat up in bed, heart stuttering. It wasn't Danny's voice, or at least not the version of her I knew. It was this soft, cracked, almost childlike sobbing. I pressed my ear to the wall we shared. Nothing. Total silence. So I checked. Her bedroom door was open. Lights off. Room empty. But her mirror, the big one above her dresser, might have looked wrong, like the reflection was too dark for how little light was in the room. I didn't go in. I don't know why, but something in my gut screamed, don't. I just backed away slowly and went to sleep on the couch with the TV on, volume low. 2 days later, Danny finally reappeared. I was at the kitchen table scrolling through my phone when she walked in, barefoot, wearing this long gray hoodie I'd never seen before. She looked at me and smiled. But it was weird and like her mouth moved before her eyes did. "Hey," she said, voice scratchy. I forced a casual, "Hey, you alive?" She just stared at me for a second too long. Then yeah, just tired. She poured herself a glass of water and drank it like she hadn't in days. Then she turned and walked into the bathroom. I watched her go. I swear to God, her reflection was already standing in the mirror before she stepped in front of it. The next morning, there was something written in the steam on the mirror. Don't trust her, I froze. Toothbrush midair. It faded quickly like it was never there. I tried to convince myself that Danny had written it as a joke, but I never heard the shower run, and I was the first one up. That day I started watching her more carefully. She moved differently now. Slower. Stiffer. Like she had to think before every step. She didn't laugh like she used to. Didn't scroll on her phone. Didn't complain about customers. Didn't hum Taylor Swift under her breath while brushing her hair. She barely blinked, and she'd stop randomly to look at herself in mirrors. Not like checking herself out, I mean full body stillness, staring like she was waiting. I finally brought it up. "You okay?" I asked one night while we both sat in the living room. She turned her head mechanically and smiled. "I'm fine," she said. Her voice was hollow, too low, like a bad imitation. "You just seem off lately," I pressed. That smile widened. "I'm still me," she whispered. Then she stood up and went into the bathroom. I followed a few minutes later, pretending I needed to wash my hands. She was standing in front of the mirror, lights off, just watching her reflection. I flipped on the light. She didn't flinch. Her reflection didn't either. It blinked 5 seconds later. The next night, I did something I probably shouldn't have. I went into her room. She wasn't home. Out on one of her night shifts, I assumed. And I needed to know what the hell was happening. Her room was ice cold. Like the kind of cold that makes your breath cloud. I opened drawers, looked under her bed, flipped through her sketchbook. One of the pages made my throat tighten. It was a charcoal drawing of a mirror, and inside it, 2 versions of Danny, one normal, and one with eyes completely blacked out, mouth stitched shut. Underneath she'd written, "She watches when I sleep." I slammed the book shut and turned toward the mirror above her dresser. It looked deeper than it should. Like, I could almost see into it. The air felt thick, like static. I took a step forward. My reflection didn't move. I froze. It was her. But she was smiling, wide, teeth too white, too sharp. And then she moved. Not like a reflection, like something behind the glass. She tilted her head. Slowly. I ran. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in the hallway with the bathroom light on, phone in my hand, thumb hovering over 911. At 3:17 a.m., the bathroom light flicked off. I didn't move, just listened. Soft footsteps padded past me. Barefoot. I felt her stop. Right behind me. Breathe out, slow, cold. She whispered, "You saw her, didn't you?" I turned, but no one was there. I couldn't take it anymore. The next morning I went to a hardware store and bought a sheet of black cloth and duct tape. I covered every mirror in the apartment. Bathroom, hallway, Danny's dresser, even the one on the microwave. She came home while I was finishing the last one, paused in the doorway. Her voice was quiet. "You shouldn't have done that." I looked at her, really looked, and realized something terrifying. She hadn't blinked in over a minute. That night, I dreamed I was inside a mirror. Everything was backwards, cold, still, and Danny, the real Danny, was pounding on the other side, screaming, but her voice was muffled. Like glass between us, and behind me the fake one, and the thing was smiling. Watching. When I woke up, all the mirror cloths were gone, every single one. Peeled off, tossed aside, and written across the bathroom mirror in red lipstick, "You can't hide from her." I moved out that same day. Packed a single bag and left. Blocked Danny on everything. Never said goodbye, but I kept the sketchbook. I don't know why. Maybe to remind myself I'm not crazy. Maybe to prove it really happened. Last night, in my new apartment, no mirrors anywhere, I caught a reflection in the microwave door. It wasn't me. It smiled and blinked late. Absolutely. Since that night, the one where I saw her in the mirror instead of me, I haven't been able to look at reflections the same way. I covered every mirror in the apartment with sheets, towels, jackets, whatever I could find, even the microwave and my laptop screen. But it didn't matter, because she's not in the mirrors anymore. She's behind them, waiting, watching, and sometimes, I think, learning. Danny hasn't come home, not officially. Her room is empty, but the mirror above her dresser, the one I should have thrown out, keeps turning up uncovered. Even after I duct tape fabric over it. Even after I take it off the wall and flip it face down. When I come back, it's standing upright again, clean, waiting, like it wants to be seen. I tried filming it, left my phone recording overnight. When I played it back the next morning, the video was corrupted, just grainy static and warped sound, except for one frame, just one, at the 3:03 a.m. mark, a still image of me standing in front of the mirror smiling. But I'd been asleep in my room the entire time. I don't know how long I have left. I've been forgetting things not normal. Forgetting. Waking up with my shoes on, finding bruises on my arms in the shape of fingers. Opening the fridge and finding things I don't remember. Buying raw meat, black candles, a single peach with a bite taken out of it and a red thread tied around the stem. Then one night, I saw her again, not in the mirror, in my room, at the foot of the bed, her posture perfect. Her head tilted slightly as if listening. I couldn't move, couldn't scream. She stepped closer and whispered, "I like it better here." I don't remember what happened next. When I woke up, my reflection didn't follow me. I waved. It didn't. I blinked. It just smiled. Then it whispered something I couldn't hear through the glass, but I felt it in my own throat like an echo. From the wrong mouth, I ran out of the apartment, down the stairs. Didn't grab anything, just ran until I found myself in a gas station bathroom with no mirrors, sat on the floor until the sun came up, but she followed, not with footsteps, with reflections, windows, car doors, phone screens. She's always there now, like she slipped out from behind the glass and wears me like a coat. I've tried to warn people, tried to tell them not to look too long into mirrors, especially when they feel like they're being watched. But no one listens. They think I'm insane until they blink and their reflection doesn't. I've stopped sleeping. I've stopped eating. Sometimes I hear myself laughing from another room when I know I'm alone. Sometimes I find writing on the walls in my own handwriting, but they're messages I don't remember writing. Last night, across the bathroom mirror, someone scrawled in lipstick, "I am the one who blinks now. I think she's almost done with me. Like a snake molting skin. She doesn't need me anymore. I'm just a shell. And soon, I won't even be that, 'cause tonight, when I looked into the mirror for the first time in days, I wasn't there. Not even the wrong version of me. Just a room, empty, waiting, and the faint sound of something tapping from the other side. The first rule she gave me when she said it like a joke on was, "Don't go in my room." She said it with a laugh, but it didn't feel funny. Her eyes didn't match the smile. I moved in after answering a roommate ad on Craigslist. Rent was stupid cheap for LA, and the building had decent water pressure. Her name was Kaylee. Pale, quiet, maybe a little awkward, but polite. Mostly kept to herself. We had a kitchen, a small living room, and 2 bedrooms. Hers had a lock on the door, which I thought was normal. I mean, privacy, right? Whatever. She worked night shifts at some hospital downtown. I worked from home, so I barely saw her except when she passed through the kitchen or bathroom. But then the smell started. It was this sour, rotting sweet smell, like old fruit or meat that had been left out too long. The kind of smell that clings to your tongue. At first, I thought maybe it was the trash or something in the fridge. But the smell wasn't in the kitchen. It was always strongest in the hallway right outside Kaylee's room. I mentioned it casually one morning as she was leaving. She stopped halfway out the door. "Oh yeah, I had some bad leftovers, sorry." She didn't look at me, just shut the door behind her a little too hard. After that, the smell got worse. A week later, I woke up around 2 a.m. and heard her talking in her room. At least I thought she was talking. It sounded like whispering. Fast, frantic, like she was arguing with someone or herself. I got up and walked into the hallway. The whispering stopped. Her light was off. I stood there, frozen, staring at the locked door. Then I heard it. One soft knock from the inside. Not her knocking to get out, but something knocking back. I didn't sleep that night. The next morning, I tried to brush it off. Maybe I was dreaming, sleep deprived. But then I noticed something new. There was a faint scratch pattern across the hallway wall, like someone had dragged their nails down it. Not deep, but jagged. Fresh. I waited for Kaylee to come home that evening and asked, "Hey, do we have a cat or something?" She just stared at me, too long, blank-eyed, then said, "No, no pets allowed," and walked into her room. I started noticing how she never went into her room when I was watching. She'd linger in the kitchen, pretend to look for snacks, wait. Then, as soon as I left or turned away, I'd hear the lock click behind me. One night, I doubled back, quiet, tiptoed down the hall. Her door was open a crack. Inside, I saw her kneeling, in the dark, not doing anything, just kneeling in the center of the room, facing the far wall. I whispered her name. She didn't move, not even a flinch, just sat there. I backed away without making a sound. That night, I woke up gasping, air thick with that sour rot again. I stumbled into the hallway and saw something under her door. It was hair, a long clump of tangled black hair, like someone had pressed their head to the floor on the other side. I leaned down, stomach flipping. There were 2 shadows under the door. Not one, 2. I didn't sleep after that. I sat on the couch until sunrise, listening to every creak and whisper the apartment made. A few days later, I came home from getting groceries and saw her door wide open. It was the first time since I moved in that I'd seen it open, and Kaylee was gone. I stood in the hallway, bag still in my hands, just staring. I should have walked away, called someone, something, but I didn't. I went in. The air in her room was freezing, not cold, freezing. My breath fogged instantly. There were no lights on. Just this dull glow from a red bulb in the corner. Everything was wrong. No bed, no furniture, just salt poured in a perfect circle across the floor. In the center was a mirror, but not hung up. It was laying flat, like a pool of water. And surrounding the mirror were dozens of Polaroids. Pictures of me, sleeping, eating, walking to the bathroom, all taken through cracks in the door. From vents, from behind I backed away. My brain couldn't catch up, and then I heard it, a whisper coming from the mirror. I turned, and I swear something was staring back at me. Not me, something behind me. In the reflection, its eyes were hollow, mouth stretched into a grin, and it whispered, "She let me in." The door slammed shut behind me. I ran, full panic. Didn't even grab my phone. Just sprinted to my room, slammed the door, and shoved a chair under the handle. I could hear the scratching. Not at my door, at the wall. The one we shared. It didn't stop until morning. Kaylee never came back. Her room is still locked, somehow. No one's seen her since. No calls, no texts. I tried telling the landlord. He shrugged and said she broke lease and I could stay if I wanted. But last night, I woke up to find my door open and a single Polaroid on the floor. It was me sleeping, and in the corner of the photo, reflected in the mirror across the room, was something watching. Me smiling. Absolutely. I crossed the threshold. Her door had been left open, just slightly. I hadn't planned on going in, but the air coming from that room was cold enough to make my skin tighten. And it wasn't just the temperature. It was the stillness, the kind you feel before something breaks. The room didn't look like a bedroom anymore. The walls were the same shape, but the space had warped. It felt deeper than it should have been. Like walking into a closet and finding a church inside, and in the middle of it, that mirror, laid flat, surrounded by a circle of white salt. But the salt was broken, just barely. A smudge in the line, like something had crawled through. My voice shook. "Lena?" No answer. I should have left, but my legs moved on their own. I stepped fully inside. The air changed immediately, a weight in my chest. Like I'd stepped underwater. My ears popped. The lights buzzed. That's when I saw them. Photographs, strung like garlands from the ceiling to the mirror. Hundreds, all of me. In every room of the house. Some from behind doors, some while I slept, one from inside the shower, and in every single one, in the background, reflected in a window or mirror or screen, a shadow, getting closer each time. The air in the room was electric. My fingers tingled. The light overhead blinked once, then again, and then I saw it. In the mirror. Not me. Her. Not Lena. Something wearing Lena. She was standing just outside the frame of the mirror. Even though I didn't see her in the room, she was smiling. Wide. Like her face would split. Her hands were behind her back. Like she was hiding something, and her head tilted slowly, to match mine, even though I hadn't moved. Then she whispered, "You broke the salt." The whisper didn't come from the room. It came from inside my own mouth. I spun around, heart beating like a drum in my throat. The door to her room slammed shut. I ran to it, pulled, yanked. It wouldn't open. The doorknob wasn't just locked. It was gone. Nothing but smooth, cold wood. I screamed, slammed my fists against it. No sound escaped. Even my own breathing had gone quiet. I turned back to the mirror. There was someone else in it now. Me. But not me. A version with empty eyes, mouth twitching at the corners. It mimicked me, but a half-second too late. I raised my hand. It followed. I blinked. It didn't. I said, "What do you want?" It smiled and whispered, "To trade." That's when the scratching started under the mirror. Not behind it, under it. Like fingers clawing up from beneath glass. The salt crack widened. A long, black hand pressed through, fingernails too long, skin stretched like plastic. Veins moving under the surface, it reached for me and I froze because I'd seen it before, in the photos, every one of them. Was never following me. It had been trying to reach out. I did the only thing I could think of. I stepped forward and kicked the mirror as hard as I could. The glass exploded. Shards flew everywhere. The salt hissed like acid. Something screamed. Not with sound. With pressure, the whole room shuddered like a building about to collapse, then silence. I was on the floor, bleeding, breathing, and the door opened on its own. Lena was in the hallway. She looked tired, pale, like she hadn't slept in years. "I told you," she said softly. "Don't go in my room." Then she collapsed. They took her away that night. Paramedics. Cops. She didn't fight it, didn't explain, didn't speak, just kept whispering to herself, "Not yet. Not yet, not yet." They let me stay the night under police supervision. When I checked her room again, it was normal. No mirror, no photos, just an empty bed and a cracked nightstand. I moved out the next day. Didn't pack much. Didn't sleep. A week later, a package showed up at my new place. No return. Address inside, a photograph of me taken the night before from the corner of my bedroom, and in the reflection of the window behind me was the mirror, whole again, and someone inside it, smiling. I smashed every reflective surface in my new place: windows, mirrors, phone screens, even the black microwave. I sleep with the lights on. I keep salt on every windowsill, and I never open packages I didn't order. But I still feel her watching, waiting. Sometimes when I turn my head fast enough, I catch a flicker of me, not moving the same, blinking wrong, mouthing things I haven't said. She's still trying to trade, and I think one day I won't be able to stop her. I used to hear her talking to him every night, soft, flirty, giggling in the dark, but I never once saw him, not even once. Kayla moved into my apartment after I posted an open room on Facebook. She was sweet, maybe a little too sweet, friendly in that overly polite kindergarten teacher kind of way, always smiling, always chipper. She was the type to bake cookies at midnight, literally. I'd come home to the whole apartment smelling like vanilla and cinnamon. Plates stacked neatly, kitchen spotless. She said she was dating someone named John. Told me about him constantly, his job, his tattoos, his sleep habits, his favorite bands. I listened politely like any roommate would. But something started to feel off because John never came over. Weeks went by, no visits, no car in the driveway, no extra shoes, but I heard him, or I thought I did. Low murmurs through the wall. Sometimes late at night I'd hear her whispering, "Stop, you're being bad." Then quiet laughter. Footsteps. Once I thought I heard her say, "He's watching you again." I tried asking about him. "Where's John tonight?" She blinked like she didn't understand the question, then smiled too wide and said, "Oh, he's always around." Another time I asked, "Why doesn't he ever stay the night?" She looked genuinely confused. "He does, all the time." I tried to play it off, but my stomach dropped. Because I knew he didn't. I was up most nights editing video. If someone had come in, I would have heard. Things escalated the day I saw her standing completely still in the hallway, just staring into the bathroom mirror. For like 5 full minutes I called her name. She didn't flinch. Just whispered something under her breath. "He says you're getting suspicious." I asked her to repeat herself and she just smiled. Said she didn't say anything, then walked away. That night I got curious. I left my phone propped up outside her door with the camera on, just for 1 hour. Just to see. When I played it back, I watched her open the door, step into the hall, and crouch, right in front of the camera, not blinking, just smiling for 6 minutes. Then in the final frame before the battery died, I kid you not, there were 2 people. Behind her, a tall figure in the shadows, head tilted, face totally blurred. Like the camera couldn't focus on it. I didn't sleep. The next morning, I found my phone under my pillow. I hadn't put it there. I started feeling watched. Not just in the paranoid sense. I knew someone was watching. The closet door creaked open at 4 a.m. The bathroom light turned on by itself. Once I caught my reflection, smiling when I wasn't. Then came the night I heard someone whispering right outside my door. I held my breath and pressed my ear to it. It was Kayla's voice. She's going to ruin everything. Should I make her leave? Another voice answered, male, but distorted. No, she'll believe soon, I nearly screamed, but I kept quiet. Frozen. The voices faded. When I opened the door, no one was there. But a note had been slid under. We like it when you sleep. I confronted her the next day. Who is John? I demanded. She blinked, smiled. He's always with me. That's not an answer. She tilted her head. Voice low now. You'll see him soon. So I checked the hallway camera. I'd set it up 2 days earlier, pointed directly at the apartment door. There were dozens of recordings, all of her. But in one, she stands at the door for 10 minutes, talking to thin air. Then the frame glitches, and there's something else beside her. I paused it. Rewound. Zoomed in, there was a figure, tall, blurred, featureless. But the weirdest part? It was looking directly into the camera and smiling. I left that night. I packed a bag, told her I was staying at a friend's, and just left. She watched me go with this weird, empty look. Didn't say goodbye, didn't blink. That was 3 months ago. I moved across town, blocked her number. New place, new locks, no roommates. But last night I came home and found a Polaroid on my kitchen counter. It was a photo of me. Asleep, and behind me and in the reflection of the microwave door was Kayla, and John smiling certainly. After I saw the footage, the one where something blurred and too tall stood behind Kayla in the hallway, I stopped feeling safe. Not just scared. Not just paranoid, unsafe. The kind of unsafe where your own apartment feels like a trap and every mirror becomes something you're scared to glance into. I left for a few days. Stayed with a friend, didn't tell Kayla. I turned my phone off, convinced myself I was overreacting. I tried to sleep, but I kept dreaming about faces, too close, smiling too wide, eyes black like oil and hollow at the same time. In every dream, one thing stayed the same, Kayla whispering behind me. He doesn't like when you leave. When I came back, the apartment was freezing. The thermostat was set to 68, but the air felt dead. Still. Like a fridge that had been opened after a long time. All the mirrors were covered. Bed sheets, towels, even one of my jackets. And on the kitchen table was a plate of food, still warm. 2 plates, actually. One for her and one for someone else. Kayla came out of her room like she'd been waiting. Hey, she said. Calm. Normal. Too normal. He told me you'd be back today. I didn't say anything, I just asked. Who is he? Her smile twitched. Just slightly. You know, she said. No, I don't. He likes you, she added, ignoring my tone. He says your voice is soft. I tried to leave again. I wasn't staying the night in that place, but when I grabbed my keys and bag, she stepped in front of the door. You shouldn't leave while he's watching. Her voice had changed, slightly too low, too steady, like she was speaking someone else's words. I pushed past her, she didn't follow. But when I got outside, I realized my car wasn't in the lot. It was gone. I called the tow company. They had no record, police report. Filed didn't matter. When I walked back inside, my keys were on the floor, inside the front door. That night, I locked myself in my room and didn't sleep. At 2:53 a.m., the floor creaked. Someone was standing outside my door. I held my breath, pressed my ear to it, Kayla's voice, whispering soft, hypnotic. But there was another voice, deeper, almost insect-like, clicking in between syllables. Then, she's mine now, but we can share. I screamed, pounded on the door from the inside. By the time I opened it, silence. Kayla was in the kitchen, pouring tea. Her shirt was on backwards. Her eyes were too wide. She smiled like nothing happened. You should be nicer, she said.
He's been very patient with you. I started looking through her room when she went out. I had to know. Her closet was full of clothes.
But none of them matched. The ones she wore, they were older, faded, like they hadn't been touched in years. Then I found the box tucked behind her dresser. Inside, notebook filled with the same sentence written hundreds of times. He is real because I believe. A stack of Polaroids, some of me, taken from behind doors, corners, vents, a worn driver's license. Different name, different photo, different Kayla. I looked it up. That girl went missing in 2019. I went to the police again, told them I thought my roommate wasn't who she said she was. They ran the ID, called me a week later, said the name belonged to a Jane Doe found off the coast 2 years ago. No leads, no suspect, no Kayla. I should have done, but I felt watched even in public, and worse, I started seeing him in glances, in glass, in sleep. I'd catch a reflection in the microwave that didn't belong, see a shadow in the shower curtain that moved on its own, hear Kayla talking in her sleep. But sometimes, there were two voices. The last night I spent in that apartment, I woke up to whispering right next to my bed. Kayla kneeling beside me, eyes open, smile gone. "He says you're ready," she whispered. Then she laid down on the floor, face to the carpet, hands folded like she was praying. Behind her, the closet door creaked open, not swung, opened from the inside. Something crawled out. Not fast, slow, confident, like it had done this before. It wasn't a man. It wore a human shape, but wrong. Arms too long, neck slightly twisted, face covered in fabric, or maybe skin, where the mouth should be. The cloth pulsed like it was smiling underneath. I couldn't move. The thing crept toward me inch by inch. I tried to scream, but my throat locked. It reached the foot of my bed, tilted its head, then whispered, without sound, something into the air. Kayla repeated it out loud. "We can't leave. So you'll stay." 2. I passed out, woke up on the floor. Kayla was gone, so was my stuff. The closet door hung open. Inside, my backpack, my clothes, my toothbrush, all packed as if someone was moving in as me. I ran, never went back, didn't even get my deposit, but sometimes late at night, I get messages from numbers I don't know. They're photos of me, sleeping, eating, watching TV, all taken from behind me. And in the corner of every image, a smile, wide, pale, waiting. I only noticed the labels because she offered me a yogurt. It was peach flavored, and when I peeled the lid, I saw the date written in Sharpie across the side. Not the factory date. She had written it herself. A completely different one. And under it, in tiny capital letters, "Dean expires 11/04. I'm not Dean." My new roommate, Lena, was kind. Almost too kind. She'd moved in a month earlier. A quiet girl with big eyes and soft sweaters. Very respectful, very neat. Always baking, always lighting candles that smelled like clove or honey. She labeled everything in the fridge. Not with food types, with names. Like the yogurt, like the carton of oat milk that said, "Sam expires 10/29," or the leftover soup container, "Taylor expires 11/07. None of those names were ours. I thought maybe she used to live with other people and hadn't updated her labeling system. I laughed it off until I saw how seriously she handled it. One night I opened the fridge and pulled out a can of soda. It had no label. She appeared out of nowhere, I mean it like she'd been listening, and gently said, "Not that one. That one's not for you." Her smile didn't reach her eyes. I tried asking her once, "Hey, Lena, what's the deal with the expiration names?" She didn't answer at first, just blinked like I'd said something in another language. Then she smiled and said, "Oh, it just helps me stay organized." And that was it. But I started paying attention. There was a pattern. Each week she'd throw out one container. Always exactly at midnight. Always without checking if the food was still good. And after that, she'd spend the rest of the night cleaning. But not like normal cleaning. She scrubbed the floors with salt water, lit incense in the corners of her room, and she always whispered something in a language I didn't understand. I recorded one of the nights. Just audio. When I played it back the next morning, I heard her say, "He's coming for the expired." I laughed it off. I mean, come on, right? Until one day I came home to find a new sticky note on the fridge. A plain red one. Just 2 words in that perfect, tidy handwriting. You, 11:09. That was 6 days away. I stared at it so long my eyes blurred. When I finally turned around, she was standing in the hallway. She smiled. "Do you like curry?" she asked. I made enough for both of us. I didn't eat that night, I pretended to. took a few bites, said I was full, and dumped the rest in the trash when she wasn't looking. She watched me the whole time, though. I could feel her eyes on me. That night, I locked my door. But around 2 a.m., I woke up to the sound of something tapping, not knocking, tapping, like fingernails on wood. I sat up, heart pounding. The tapping stopped. I got out of bed slowly, cracked open my door. No one was there, but every single kitchen label had been peeled off, except mine. I tried to reason with myself. Maybe she was just quirky. Maybe the expiration thing was some kind of OCD ritual. But then I found the journal. She'd left it on the couch while she was in the shower. I wasn't trying to snoop. I really wasn't, but my name was on the cover, inside. She had pages and pages tracking my sleep habits, what foods I touched, what shoes I wore most often. Then a whole chart: ripeness 10:31, softening 11:03, spoiling 11:07, expires 11:09. That night, I packed a bag. I was going to leave, but when I tried to open the front door, it wouldn't budge. Deadbolt stuck. Chain snapped shut. All the windows had been locked from the outside. I ran back to my room, under my bed. Taped to the wall was a new note. Do not leave the shelf too soon. Spoilage invites worse things. I was shaking. I texted my brother, my best friend, even my ex. No one answered. The next day was November 8th. She offered me tea. I didn't drink it. I spent the whole day in my room. But when I checked my doorframe later, someone had carved something into it. Deep, ragged letters, ripe. That night, I didn't sleep. I kept a knife by my bed. At 11:58 p.m., I heard the fridge open, then the sound of something wet being dumped into a trash. Back then, the salt water bucket scraping across the floor, footsteps slow, toward my door. They stopped. The knob turned once, then silence. It's November 9th now. I'm writing this from my closet. I don't know what she fed me, but I feel wrong, like I'm rotting. She just slipped a note under the door. It says, "It's time." Absolutely. Here's part 2. Today is November 9th, my expiration date. Lena hasn't said a word all morning. She just moves around the apartment with this eerie calm, lighting candles, running water in short, ritualistic bursts, and humming under her breath. Each time she passes me, I feel something tighten in my chest, like my body knows something is coming even before my brain can process it. There's a bowl of fruit in the center of the table. All the bananas are black, soft, shriveled. The apples are bruised, leaking. But she hasn't thrown them out. She's just watching them. Watching me. It's been 2 weeks since I found the journal. The one where she tracked my ripening stage like I was produce. At first, I thought she was delusional. Dangerous, yes, but crazy. Now I'm not so sure because I feel it. This internal souring. Food doesn't taste right. My skin is itchy. The lights seem too dim. I caught myself scratching at the base of my spine yesterday and came away with a piece of what looked like wax. And the smell. That low, underlying rot. It's coming from me now. I tried to leave again this morning, didn't even grab anything, just threw on a hoodie and went for the door. It was open. That's what scared me. Lena was standing by the fridge, watching silently as I touched the knob. She didn't stop me, didn't move. I stepped 1 foot over the threshold and vomited into the hallway. My head spun. My vision blurred. My limbs felt like they were pulling in opposite directions. I stumbled back inside, gasping. And she just said, "Too early. Still fermenting." I don't know how she's doing this. There are no locks on the windows, no bars on the doors, but something's keeping me here. Something in me now, like whatever's rotting me is rooted. Last night, I dreamed I was sealed in a glass jar. My body curled tight, knees against chest, floating in cloudy fluid. Lena's face hovered on the other side, huge, distorted, smiling. And behind her, shelves upon shelves of other jars, other faces, some asleep, some screaming silently. When I woke up, I was on the floor. Salt circles surrounded me. A label had been taped to my chest. Black marker, block letters, shelf ready. I'm scared to sleep again. Every time I wake up, I feel less like myself. My skin feels thinner. My thoughts come slower. I used to think Lena was just twisted. Now I think she's working for something else. I finally confronted her. backed her into the kitchen and shouted, "What the hell is this? What are you doing to me?" She looked at me with this quiet sadness. "It's not personal," she said. "You were ripe. That's all." I slammed my fist on the counter. "Ripe for what?" She just nodded toward the fridge. Inside Amarien, where the shelves used to be filled with Tupperware and milk and bottled water, there was only one thing: a wide, empty jar and a label waiting to be stuck on it. November 9th, final spoil. I lost it. I grabbed my phone, called 911, begged for help. The dispatcher's voice was weird, distorted, like it was coming through a fan. She kept asking the same question: "Is the product fully softened?" I hung up. I ran into the bathroom, locked the door, and splashed cold water on my face. When I looked up, my reflection blinked late. Too late, and its smile lingered even after mine dropped. There's something wearing me now. Not all the time, but in moments, like when I zone out and can't remember blinking, when my fingers twitch on their own, when I catch myself humming that same tune she always hums. Tonight, the house is colder. Lena's cooking something on the stove, but I don't smell food. It smells like wax and smoke. She set the table for two only. One chair is facing the window. The other faces a full-length mirror. She says the harvest is near. That, once I'm fully spoiled, the lid can be sealed, that it's an honor to be preserved. She has a shelf ready in the bedroom. I saw it last night. It's full of jars, some with names, some with just dates, all of them fogged on the inside, except one. The one that had a name written over a scratched-out label. Lena, 0601, reused. I'm writing this with what little strength I have left. My fingers don't feel like mine. My thoughts are melting at the edges, but I have to get this out, because I think once the process finishes, I won't be in here anymore, not in a way that can speak or move or escape. The expiration wasn't just a metaphor. She's canning people, not their bodies, their selves, their souls. Whatever she does, it keeps the outside walking, talking, blinking, but inside you're trapped, floating, watching, sour. I can see the jar now. It's open, waiting. I can feel the pull, like something inside me is loosening, rising out of my chest, curling toward it. Lena is lighting the candles. She's humming. The label is already pressed against the glass. You. 709. I think this is the last thing I'll ever write. If you find this, if you see a roommate who labels food with names and dates, get out. Don't eat. Don't stay. Don't let her mark you, because once she writes it down, you've already started to spoil. The first time the neighbor complained about the screaming, I thought they had the wrong apartment. I live alone, and I sure as hell don't scream in my sleep. I just moved into a top-floor apartment in this old triplex, the kind with creaky floors, paper-thin walls, and plumbing that moaned at night like it was in pain. My roommate Sasha had already been living there for a few months before I moved in. Super chill girl. Funny, quiet, respectful. Kind of a loner, but we got along fine. We had this mutual agreement. Headphones in, lights off by midnight, keep the bathroom clean. No problems. Until the upstairs neighbor, who lived in the attic unit above ours, knocked on our door. It was a weird time. 15 a.m. I opened the door groggy, half asleep, and she just looked at me with these huge, bugged-out eyes and said, "Can you please stop screaming?" I stared at her. I wasn't. She shook her head slowly. It's every night. Between 3 and 4, it sounds like someone's being murdered. She glanced past me toward the hallway. Unless it's her. She meant Sasha. The next day, I brought it up casually. "Hey, do you sleepwalk or talk or anything?" Sasha looked up from her laptop, deadpan. "No, why?" I told her about the neighbor. The scream complaints, she laughed. "That's creepy as hell. But it's not me." She even offered to set up a camera in the hallway to prove it, and she did. We checked the footage together the next morning. Around 3:28 a.m., the camera picked up this low creaking sound, like someone stepping lightly down the hallway. Then, nothing. The camera glitched out for 17 seconds. When it cut back in, Sasha's door was wide open. She was standing in the hallway, back to the camera, barefoot, head tilted. Then she slowly walked back to her room. Neither of us remembered it happening. After that, things escalated. Fast. We started hearing footsteps above us, not the neighbor. We asked her, and she said she hadn't been home for days. The steps weren't normal. They were rhythmic. Like pacing, same route, every night. From 3:12 to 3:33, always those exact times. One night I couldn't take it. I crawled up into the attic crawl space to check. It was empty, dust everywhere except for a clean trail, footprints bare, feet, leading from the access door to the vent above our hallway. We never heard anything during the day. But at night there were clicks, like nails tapping on wood, breathing behind the closet door. Once I woke up to Sasha standing in my doorway, eyes open but totally blank. She didn't say anything, just turned and walked away. She stopped eating, stopped talking unless I spoke first, started humming in her room late at night. Just one note over and over, like a warning. I set up another camera, this time in the living room, aimed toward her door. 17 a.m. She opened the door slowly and stepped out. But she wasn't alone. There was someone else. They came out behind her, crawling. Low to the ground, face obscured, limbs too long. The thing followed her down the hallway, then just vanished. I confronted her the next morning. Who the hell was in the apartment last night? She blinked, confused. I don't remember anything. I played the footage for her. She didn't react, just stared and whispered. He told me not to show anyone. I went to the police. They humored me, but said without signs of break-in or harm, there wasn't much they could do. I sent the footage to a friend who does video editing. He texted me that night. This is corrupted. There's nothing there but static. I watched it again. He was right. The video was blank. Gone. That night, I bolted my door shut and slept with headphones in. At 3:30 a.m., I woke up choking. Something was in my mouth. Fabric. I tore it out. It was one of Sasha's socks. My door was still locked from the inside. I tried to leave the next day. Bags packed. Called an Uber. When I stepped outside, there was a sticky note on the door. Screaming won't help anymore. I ran back inside and locked everything. Sasha was in the kitchen when I came. In staring at the ceiling, I asked her what she was looking at. She smiled. He's almost done with the attic. Last night was the worst. I was sleeping, or thought I was, and heard a soft knock. On the wall beside my bed, then a whisper. It's your turn to walk. I couldn't move. Felt like something was sitting on my chest. Heavy. Cold. I opened my eyes and saw the shape crouched over me. Long limbs, face flickering in and out of focus, it whispered again and again, walk the path, walk the path, walk the path. I woke up on the floor, knees bruised, fingernails cracked. The hallway was smeared with dusty footprints. Mine, the neighbor moved out this morning. She didn't even pack. She just left a note on our door. I can't sleep through the screaming anymore, and it's coming from your walls now. Sasha's not Sasha anymore. She hasn't blinked in 3 days. She just stands at the foot of my bed each night, waiting, absolutely. Hears. The neighbor's note haunted me. It's coming from your walls now. She hadn't packed. Just left. Vanished. Sasha didn't even ask about it. She sat at the kitchen table, completely still, staring at the floor vent. Her mouth was slightly open. Not in shock, not confused, just waiting. When I tried to talk to her, she wouldn't look at me. I waved my hand in front of her face. Nothing. But when I whispered her name, softly, Sasha, she blinked and smiled, except it wasn't her smile. That night, I slept on the couch facing the front door. Every light on. Knife under my pillow, Q:59 a.m. I felt the air pressure shift. You know that weird stillness before a storm? It was like that, but thicker. Like the apartment had gone underwater. The humming returned. Not from the attic this time, from inside the walls. The sound wasn't angry. It was curious, probing. Then 3:17 a.m., like always, the footsteps. But this time, they weren't above me. They were in the hallway. I held my breath. They stopped right in front of me. I didn't move, didn't blink. Then, tap, tap, tap. 3 slow knocks on the floor. I looked down. Under the rug, a floorboard was lifting, just slightly, as if someone, or something, was pressing upward from underneath. I panicked, grabbed my phone and turned on the flashlight. No number pad, no lock. Just the wood, bulging, breathing. The air smelled sweet and foul, like something dying inside a perfume bottle. I pulled the rug back and froze, because the wood was split open. Not cut, not broken, split. Like flesh. Inside was something black and wet. Like oil but thicker, bubbling, moving, behind me. I heard footsteps. I turned. Sasha was standing in the hallway, staring at the hole in the floor. Her eyes were wide, mouth slack. "I told you not to watch," she whispered. Then, "Now it wants your walk too." I couldn't take it anymore. I fled, left everything. Bag, phone, keys. Just ran. Sprinted barefoot down 3 flights of stairs and out into the street. Didn't stop until I reached the 24-hour diner 2 blocks away. I sat in a booth, shivering, begging the waitress to let me charge my phone. When it powered on, I had a message from Sasha. Just a video, no caption. I opened it. The screen was dark at first. Then it flickered and I saw myself standing in the hallway. But not now. From last night, except I wasn't alone. There was something behind me. Bent. Shadow thin, clinging to the wall like it was liquid. Its face was pressed against the back of my neck. Breathing. And when I moved, it didn't, it just held on. I stayed at a hotel for 2 days, didn't sleep, didn't go back, but on the 3rd morning, my hotel room door was unlocked when I woke up. No sign of forced entry. Just a small note on the pillow beside me. 3:17, time to pace. I reported everything to the police. They did a wellness check, came back with a shrug. "Your roommate's gone. No sign of a break-in. Place is clean. Maybe she just moved out." Except she didn't take anything. Her toothbrush was still there, her boots by the door, and the camera I'd hidden in the vent, gone. I drove back to the apartment that night. Not inside, but just parked across the street. Lights were on, and the hallway window in the one near my old room flickered like someone was walking by over and over, back and forth. Same rhythm, step, step, pause, step, step, pause. I recorded it on my phone. Later, when I slowed the video down, I noticed something wrong with the shadows. They didn't match the pacing, they were too tall, bent, twisting slightly, as if floating just above the floor like puppets strung up by invisible wires. 2 weeks later, I got a new place across town. Old building, different energy. Nothing weird, until the first night. At 3:17 a.m., I heard it. Step, step, pause, in the hallway. No one there. Then I checked the new vent. A piece of paper was sticking out. I pulled it free, hands shaking. On it, written in jagged handwriting, "You left the walk unfinished." That was 2 months ago. I've moved twice since then. Doesn't matter. Everywhere I go, the footsteps return. Always at 3:17 a.m., always the same pattern, the pacing. Last night, I tried something. I stood up at 3:16, waited, and when the footsteps started, I walked too, matched the rhythm, step, step, pause, step, step, pause. The sound behind the walls slowed. Then, stopped, and for the first time I heard breathing, not mine, something relieved, satisfied, I think it just wanted a body, a walker, someone to keep the path alive. I don't know how long Sasha had been pacing for it. I don't know if she ever left. Maybe she's still in that apartment, walking that same loop through shadows no one else can see. Maybe now, I'm next. The first thing she did when she moved in was draw a line. Literally. A straight, chalky white line down the center of the bedroom floor. "This is mine," she said, tapping her side with her boot. "Don't cross it, ever." She didn't laugh, didn't smile. Just walked to her side and shut the blinds. Her name was Lacey. We were both in college, cheap off-campus housing, 2 people per room. I'd expected awkward small talk, maybe movie nights and bad pizza. But from day one, she made it clear. We were not going to be friends. Her side of the room was dark. Always. Blinds closed. Lamps off. Even during the day, it felt like walking past a photo that hadn't developed properly. Like the light never quite touched it. She kept her things meticulously arranged. Books stacked in precise piles. Mirror tilted just so. Bed always made. Sheets tucked tight enough to snap. She had this old trunk at the foot of her bed. Big metal, rusted, locked tight. I asked once, jokingly, "What's in there, your soul?" She looked up. Dead serious. Yes. The first weird thing happened a week in. I was cleaning under my bed when I noticed her side was longer, not by much, maybe a foot. But the wall behind her side felt farther away than mine. I even measured. My side 7 feet. Her side 8 feet 2 inches. I told myself the room was just built weird. Old houses are like that. Still, I stopped looking too long at her wall. Lacey never slept while I was awake, or maybe she never slept at all. Every night I'd fall asleep to the sound of her whispering. Not to me, just whispering like prayers, or names. I couldn't understand the words, but the rhythm stayed in my head. Sometimes I'd wake up and feel like someone was standing right over me. But when I opened my eyes, nothing was there, just Lacey, sitting up in bed, eyes open, watching her mirror. One night I woke to a soft scraping sound. I sat up, heart pounding. The room was pitch black. The noise was coming from her side. I leaned over slightly, careful not to cross the line, and whispered, "Lacey?" No answer, just more scraping, like something heavy being dragged. I flicked on my lamp. Lacey was gone, but her trunk was open, just a little, a sliver, and something inside it moved. She came back around 5 a.m. I pretended to be asleep. I heard her bare feet walk across the floor, pause near the line, and then slowly, carefully close the trunk. The click of the lock echoed in the silence. I started keeping a journal. I know how it sounds, dramatic, paranoid, but I needed to make sense of it. Here's what I wrote that week. Quizzes. The line is brighter today. Almost glowing. Not chalk anymore. I didn't draw anything. Wed. Her wall looks farther again. Can't see where it ends. Thurs heard someone crying on her side. Definitely not Lacey. She wasn't even home. Fry. Her mirror showed me myself asleep. I was awake. I tried talking to her again. Do you, practice something? Witchcraft or something else? She was brushing her hair in total darkness. I preserve balance, she said, voice flat. You should be grateful. Grateful for what? She turned to me slowly. That the door hasn't opened wider. That night I stayed up, just watching. At exactly 3:33 a.m., the temperature dropped. I saw my breath. Lacey stood, walked to her trunk. Opened it. She pulled out something. It looked like a piece of the wall. Not drywall. Darker. Slick. Like wet concrete or clay. She laid it on the ground and began whispering. The same rhythm again. I recorded it on my phone. When I played it back the next morning, there was no sound, just static, and under the static, a low voice. She can't hold it much longer. The next day, the line was thicker, not drawn, raised. It looked like bone. I called my mom. Told her something vague about a bad roommate situation. She offered to fly me home. I packed my bag, told Lacey I was leaving. She didn't respond. She just stood in the corner of her side, the one that now looked impossibly far away, and whispered, "You've seen too much." I left that afternoon. Got as far as the Greyhound station before my phone died. Borrowed a charger from the front desk and turned it back on. I had one new photo. No number. No sender. It was me, sleeping in my bed, taken from inside her mirror. I went back. I don't know why. Maybe part fear, part guilt, part whatever that line was doing to me. The room was darker. The light didn't work. Lacey was gone. But her side of the room was bigger, like a tunnel now. The walls stretched farther than they should have, and in the middle of it, her trunk was wide open, empty. I stepped over the line only once, just to see. I stepped over the line, just one step, and the air changed instantly. Thicker, colder, like trying to breathe through wet cotton. The floor under my foot felt soft, not carpet soft, soft like skin. I should have turned around, but I didn't, because Lacey's side of the room wasn't a room anymore. The walls stretched impossibly far. Her bed was gone. So were the dresser, the mirror, the lamp. The ceiling arched like a tunnel, lined with what looked like ribs. Massive arching ribs that pulsed faintly like they were breathing. The walls moved when I blinked, shifted slightly like they were watching me. And in the far, far distance, maybe 30 feet away, maybe miles, was Lacey, standing barefoot on the same chalky white line, perfectly still. Lacey? No echo. My voice died in the space like it had been absorbed. She didn't respond, but something else did. A wet dragging sound. Behind me. I turned around. The line was gone. So was the door. I started walking. It was like walking in a dream where the hallway stretches longer the more you move. Every step forward felt like I was being pulled deeper instead of getting closer. The smell changed the farther I went. Copper. Wet earth. Decay. Like an old basement that's never been opened. I passed a mirror. Not the one she used to keep, and this one was warped, leaning, fogged. When I looked into it, I didn't see myself. I saw someone in my bed. Back in the room, sleeping. It looked like me, but its eyes were open and it was smiling. I looked away. Big mistake. When I turned forward again, Lacey was suddenly right in front of me. Inches away, she wasn't blinking. Her mouth moved slowly. No sound. Then all at once her voice exploded in my head. Not in my ears, in my skull. I told you not to cross. Her skin cracked like dry clay when she turned her head. Her mouth was bleeding. I kept it closed. She whispered. I tried. But you watched. You measured. You stepped. The world shook. Hard. Like the entire space groaned. Behind her, the trunk appeared. Wide open. Glowing faintly from inside. She pointed to it. You have to go in. Balance must return. One in, one out. I took a step back. What the hell is this? She didn't answer. She just said, you don't know what I've kept out. You don't know what you've invited in. The tunnel started to collapse. The ribs above us cracked, bone splinters falling. The breathing sound intensified. Deep, wet, mechanical. And then I saw it. Crawling from the far end of the tunnel. Something with too many limbs. A body that didn't match its movement. A head that was always looking at me, even when it wasn't facing me. Lacey stepped between it and me. She turned her head slowly and said, "Run!" I ran. I didn't know where I was going. No doors, no windows. Just endless flesh and bone. But I ran until the air split around me. Until I hit something solid. Glass. It was her mirror, just like before. Only this time, it was behind me and I was looking through it into the room. The real room, my side, my bed, and me. I was still lying. They're still breathing, but my chest wasn't rising like it should. It was shuddering, like something inside was trying to get out. I screamed, pounded the glass. On the other side, I sat up slowly, stared directly at me, smiled, and said, balance restored. I don't remember what happened next. I woke up in the room, in my bed, sunlight through the window. No line on the floor. No Lacey. No trunk. Just me. And a note. Written on the back of a Polaroid. Never measure the dark. Just let it stay small. The photo was of me, standing in the tunnel, and behind me, in the mirror's reflection, the thing crawling out. It's been 2 weeks, I'm alone now. But sometimes, I catch it, just out of the corner of my eye. My mirror lagging when I move. My reflection breathing wrong. Sometimes I hear Lacey's voice whispering from the other side. Don't step over, please, I'm still holding the door. The first thing I noticed about her was that she never blinked. Not once. When I answered her roommate ad, the price seemed too good. Downtown apartment, modern, newly renovated, and somehow only half what anyone else charged. She introduced herself as Mara, soft-spoken, polite, with a smile that lasted a little too long. Her eyes were pale gray, so light they almost looked white when the overhead light hit them. She was friendly, helpful, but the longer you looked at her, the more you realized something was still off. Like she was performing the shape of being human. The first week was normal enough. We shared groceries, swapped playlists, even watched a movie together once. She didn't laugh at the funny parts, just stared at the screen. That same half-smile frozen in place. When the credits rolled, she said quietly, "You have a nice heartbeat." I laughed because I thought she was joking. She didn't laugh back. The noises started after that. A soft hum at night, coming from the hallway outside my door. Not music, not pipes. Just a low, steady vibration, like someone whispering without breath. Every night, exactly 3 a.m. it began. I'd open the door, peek out, and the hum would stop instantly. I'd go back to bed and it would start again, right on cue. By the third night, I tried to record it on my phone, but when I played the clip the next morning, there was only silence. Except at the very end, just before the audio cut, one single breath. Too close to the microphone. Mara never mentioned the sound. Instead, she started appearing behind me. Not in a creepy movie way, just suddenly there. I'd be washing dishes and she'd be standing by the counter smiling. I'd be scrolling on the couch and she'd be sitting cross-legged on the floor, staring at me like I'd called her name. She never said a word unless I spoke first. Once, I asked how long she'd lived there before me. Her smile didn't move when she answered. I've always been here. There were other things. Small, accumulating. My bedroom door opening on its own. The fridge light flickering when she walked past. Her reflection in the kitchen window, not quite matching the way her body turned. One evening, I caught her watching me through the bathroom mirror while brushing my teeth. She was standing in the hallway perfectly still, eyes locked on my reflection. But her own reflection wasn't in the glass at all. I spun around. She was gone. The smell came next. Not rot exactly. More like iron and damp earth, like a basement after rain. I found its source under the sink, a small jar, lid taped shut, filled with dark liquid. My name was written across the tape in tiny, careful letters. I confronted her. Mara, why is there a jar with my name on it under the sink? She blinked for the first time since I'd met her. One slow, deliberate blink so it knows who you are, she said. I waited for her to elaborate. She didn't. That night I couldn't sleep. Every creak in the floor sounded like footsteps. At 3:02 a.m., the hum started again. Louder this time, almost inside my head. I pressed my pillow over my ears and felt it vibrating through the fabric. Then came the whisper. It wasn't Mara's voice. It was lower, raspier, like it had traveled through something wet before reaching me. It said my name. Twice. Then, don't let her smile. The next morning, Mara was waiting at the kitchen table, smiling as usual. You look tired, she said. Did you sleep? I lied and said yes. She reached across the table and rested her hand over mine. Cold, dry, heavier than it should have been. I'm glad, she said softly. It means he likes you. I told myself to move out. I even started packing. But when I zipped my suitcase, the humming started again. In daylight this time. The walls seemed to breathe with it, soft, expanding, contracting. The air shimmered slightly like heat off asphalt. Then Mara's voice from the doorway. You can't leave while it's awake. She was still smiling. Still not blinking. I turned to face her fully. While what's awake? She tilted her head and for the first time, the smile broke, her lips trembled, pulled too wide. Skin cracking at the corners. Something behind her eyes flickered, like two small flames trying to burn through. Then, in that same calm tone, she said, the mouth. You let it open. The humming stopped. And in the silence that followed, I heard something new, a soft scraping right beneath the floorboards, as if something large were dragging itself slowly upward. Mara's grin returned, small again, gentle, she whispered. It's hungry. The humming never really stopped. It just sank lower, a vibration you could feel through the soles of your feet. Mara started humming along with it. Quiet, tuneless, almost under her breath. Every morning when I left for work, she'd be at the kitchen table, hands folded neatly, that faint smile fixed in place. When I came home, she'd still be sitting there, same posture, same half smile, like she'd never moved. And the air kept getting colder. One night I woke to a dull thud from the living room. Then another, and another. I crept out of bed. Mara was kneeling by the vent in the floor, tapping 3 times, pausing, then tapping again. The metal vent cover was trembling slightly, like something underneath was pushing back. When she noticed me, she whispered, Go back to bed. It listens. Her voice was flat, exhausted. What is it, Mara? She pressed a finger to her lips, bloodless and shaking. It doesn't like questions, just the smiling. The next morning, every vent in the apartment was sealed shut with duct tape. Mara had written a symbol across each one, a jagged circle that looked like a mouth with too many teeth. She told me not to touch them. But that afternoon, while she was out, I peeled the tape from one and crouched beside it. The smell hit first, metallic, but then the faint sound of breathing. I leaned closer. trying to see through the slats. A single pale eye blinked up at me. I stumbled back, slammed the vent cover down, and nearly ran out of the apartment. When Mara returned, she saw the broken tape, saw my face, and whispered, "You looked at it?" I nodded before I could stop myself. She shut her eyes for a long moment, then quietly said, "Now it will want your face." That night she moved all the mirrors into my room. The hallway mirror, the one from the bathroom, even the shiny metal toaster, anything that could reflect. She told me to keep the lights on. "Reflections are doors," she said. "It prefers those to walls." I didn't sleep. I just watched the mirrors. Around 3 a.m., one of them fogged from the inside. A shape pressed against it like a hand, but the fingers were wrong. Too long, bending backward. When it pulled away, something else leaned forward. A mouth, not lips or teeth, just darkness stretching into a grin. Mara burst in, eyes wide, holding that jar with my name on it. She smashed it against the floor. The liquid hissed, the smell sharp like burned metal. The mirror went still. "You can't look at it," she said, voice breaking for the first time. "You feed it when you look." I wanted to leave, but the doors wouldn't open. Locks jammed, hinges warped. Even the windows wouldn't budge. Mara said, "It's almost through." She stopped eating, stopped talking. She just sat in front of the living room vent, humming to it. 2 nights later, the power went out. The humming grew louder, vibrating through the floor, the walls, the air itself. The shadows in the corners started to ripple like water. "Mara," I whispered, "what do we do?" She turned to me, and for the first time I saw her eyes move, fast, frightened. "It wants you," she said. "It doesn't need me anymore." The floorboards cracked. A long fissure opened between us, the air thick with dust. From the darkness below came a faint light, orange, pulsing like the glow of something breathing. Mara crawled toward it, whispering, "It's hungry, it's hungry." She smiled again, but her face didn't stop there. The skin at the corners of her mouth split further, the smile growing too wide. Then she dropped into the crack and was gone. Silence. Then the voice. Not Mara's. Lower. Wet. Everywhere at once. She fed me smiles. "But yours will last longer." The vent covers blew open one by one. Air roared through them, icy and thick. The lights flickered back on, all at once. Every mirror in the apartment showed the same thing. My own reflection, staring back, except the eyes were pale gray, and the mouth never stopped smiling. I ran to the front door. It opened easily now. Outside, the street was empty. No cars, no sound. Even the air felt hollow. I turned back once, just for a second. Through the window, I saw her, Mara, standing in the living room, but she wasn't moving. She was painted across the glass like a reflection that didn't belong to anything. I moved to a new apartment the next day. No roommates. No mirrors. No vents. But at night, when I lie still enough, I can hear that faint hum again, deep under the floor, traveling through the pipes, and sometimes, just before I fall asleep, I feel my lips stretch on their own. Too wide. Too long. And in the dark reflection of my phone screen, I see gray eyes staring back. Absolutely. It's been 6 months since I left the apartment. 6 months since I saw Mara disappear into the crack in the floor. 6 months since I saw it. The smiling thing that spoke without sound and left breath marks inside the mirror. But the worst part? I never really left, not where it matters, because she brought something with her. Or maybe it brought me. I changed cities. Changed my name. Told myself I was starting over. No mirrors in the new place, none. I brushed my teeth in the dark. Used the front-facing camera on my phone like a broken periscope. Shaved without looking. But you can't escape reflections forever. Windows, sunglasses, phone screens, still water. She's in all of them now. The first time I saw her again was in the black glass door of a coffee shop freezer. I was waiting in line. Zoned out, and there I was, behind the glass, except I wasn't blinking and I was smiling too wide. I blinked. He didn't. I left my drink on the counter and walked out. By the time I got home, the smile had followed me. I saw it in the back of a spoon, in the reflection of my microwave, in the glint of the elevator's steel wall. My own mouth twitching when I wasn't moving. My eyes staying open in the dark. Sleep less now, and when I do sleep, I dream of a house made of mirrors. Each room reflects a different version of me. In one, I'm screaming. In another, I'm smiling. In the last, I'm standing still, arms stretched wide, mouth split open, inviting something to wear me like a costume. One morning, I woke up and found the window in my bedroom wide open. I hadn't opened it, but there were handprints on the glass, on the outside, and scrawled into the condensation, "I like your skin better than mine." I've started writing notes to myself, just to remember what's real, what I've done. I keep a journal by my bed, but the entries change. They're in my handwriting, but I don't remember writing them. They say things like, "Smiling keeps it quiet. Stop trying to be alone. You never were. It's your turn to look from the other side." Last week, I caught myself humming Mara's tune. I didn't even realize I was doing it until I saw my neighbor staring at me in the elevator. She didn't blink the entire ride, neither did I. Sometimes people on the street glance over their shoulder when I walk by, just for a second, as if something about me feels off, even if they can't say why. Sometimes I hear kids whispering to each other after I pass. Things like, "He's got the look." That's one of them. Last night was the worst. I dreamt I was inside Mara's old apartment again. But this time it was different. She wasn't there. I was, and people were knocking on the door, asking for me, calling me Mara, saying, "We know you're smiling in there." I woke up sweating, ran to the bathroom, and saw myself already in the mirror, just standing there waiting. Then he spoke with my voice but not my tone, flat cold. "It's time to step through." Then the glass cracked. Not like it was breaking, like it was opening. I've sealed every reflective surface, every damn one. But still, every now and then, I catch a glimpse in a puddle on the sidewalk, in someone else's sunglasses, in a blacked-out store window at night, and he's there, not watching anymore, smiling. I don't think this is about Mara anymore. I think she was just a vessel, a shell, like I am now. Whatever that thing is, it doesn't need to possess you. It just needs you to see it, to notice it, to believe in the smile. Once you do, it starts using you. At first, small stuff, mimicking your reflection, holding eye contact a second too long. Then it starts making choices, wearing you at parties, laughing in your voice, sleeping in your bed. I'm not writing this to stop it. It's too late for that. I'm writing this so you know, if you ever see your reflection smile when you didn't, don't ignore it, don't talk to, and above all, don't smile back. Absolutely. Here is, it's been nearly a year since I moved out of Mara's apartment. Or maybe I never left. The world around me looks the same. People still smile. The sun still rises. Bills still come in the mail, but something is off-tilted, like my life has been reassembled from memory by someone who wasn't really there. I go to work, or at least I think I do. I sit at my desk, type, nod at people, laugh when it's expected, but no one uses my name anymore, and none of their eyes ever meet mine. Their faces look blurry now, soft around the edges, except when they smile. That part is always sharp. Last Friday, my boss handed me an envelope. Inside was a blank sheet of paper. I looked up. Confused, he just said, "You've been seen. Congratulations," and smiled. I tried dating again. Tinder. Desperation. Mostly met someone for coffee. She was sweet. Until I caught her reflection in the cafe window, smiling when her real face wasn't. Not just smiling, grinning, wide, sharp, like the face was waiting for permission to break through. I didn't say a word, just stood up and left, didn't even take my coat. I'm starting to think there's no safe space anymore. That maybe this isn't about Mara or me, or that apartment. It's bigger, older, something that's always been here, just outside our field of vision. And now we've all stared too long. Every mirror in my life is gone. But sometimes, I still see my reflection in other people's eyes, in shadows and puddles, and when I do, he's still smiling, but now, he's wearing me better. I talk less, eat less. I'm afraid of hearing my own voice. It doesn't sound like me anymore. It's too clean, too calm, like it's been recorded and is just being played back. I called my mom last week. She answered, but She didn't speak, I just heard a long breath and then my own voice say, "He says you're not coming back." The lights in my apartment flicker at exactly 3 a.m. now. No power surge. No wiring issues, just 3 slow flickers, then silence, then the hum. That low, bone-deep hum I first heard in Mara's hallway. It's inside me now, it's how I know he's close. I used to look at my hands when I needed to remember I was real. Now, they don't always match. Sometimes, the left has a scar I don't remember, or the fingernails are too long, or both hands twitch in sync, like they're mimicking someone else's rhythm. The smile is getting stronger. It shows up faster now, it doesn't wait for mirrors. Sometimes it comes when I blink, when I yawn, when I try to sleep. I had a dream where I was standing in a room full of people, faces I know, friends, family, co-workers, all of them just standing there staring, not blinking, not breathing, until I smiled, and then they all smiled. Back at once, like they'd just been waiting for me to join. When I woke up, I was smiling and my jaw wouldn't stop moving, like something was trying it on, like the smile was practicing. I've started recording myself, sleeping. Bad idea. The video never shows me sleeping. It shows me sitting up, facing the camera, smiling for hours. In the last video, I spoke only once 4 words. Not in my voice, but through my voice. He fits you now. I smashed the phone after that, didn't matter. The camera on my laptop still turns on by itself, always at 3 a.m. just for a few seconds. Just enough to capture something. I think this was never about possession. Not really, it's about replication. He copies you, studies you, rebuilds you, and then replaces you. The real me is still in here somewhere. I feel him sometimes like a passenger watching through my eyes, unable to move, screaming behind a locked smile. And I think that's what happened to Mara. She wasn't crazy. She wasn't haunted. She was hollowed, out slowly, smiling the whole time. I write these entries down. Even though I know I won't remember them, I find them in places I didn't leave them. Drawers, the back of the freezer, inside a cereal box. Always the same handwriting, always signed. The real you, tonight. I'm going to try something. A camera, a mirror, a recording. All at once. I want to see him. I want to know how much time I have left. If you're reading this, and your smile feels stiff lately, and your eyes linger too long in reflections, ask yourself, was that really me who looked away first? If it wasn't, you're already smiling from the other side.